Patchwork Heart Ministry and Fiat Ministry Network invite you to discover your mission. A brand new in-depth monthly video series featuring engaging Catholic speakers who will challenge you to live your life abundantly. For only $25 a month, you will receive a personal monthly mission, including 3 full-length inspirational talks that build upon a new theme each month. Sign up for the Discover Your Mission tier at patreon.com/patchworkheartministry today.
Fiat Ministry Network and Patchwork Heart Ministry present Journeys in Faith. Now, here's Anne DeSantis.
Hi, welcome to Journeys in Faith here on this Friday night. Thank you so much for joining us. And I have 2 great guests to talk about Holy Land pilgrimages with Select International. So I have with me a returning guest of a couple times and a friend of mine and of the foundation I represent, Father Matthew Phelan, Mercedarian Friar, and also Father Zachary Navit from the Archdiocese of Philadelphia in my own archdiocese. So welcome to both of you. Thank you so much for joining us on Journeys in Faith.
Good to be here.
Thank you. It's great to be with you.
Yeah, it's awesome because I'm really excited, and I'm going to hold this up for our audience here. It's the Holy Land pilgrimage that we will be hosting. Myself and Father Matthew will be the spiritual director. And the dates for this Holy Land pilgrimage are March 14th to the 21st of 2022. So we are going to unpack that, talk a lot about it, and also talk a lot about Select International and our friend Adina Krunik, who is the founder and CEO of Select International. I'm sure that our producer will be putting up the website there and some information about Select International. So I thought we could also talk about the fact that Father Navit is also going to the Holy Land this year, starting on September 19th. I believe it's for 11 days, correct, Father?
It's a 10-day trip, but with an optional extension to go to Jordan at the end of the trip. So to continue it for another 3 days.
Oh, that's amazing. So we're going to talk about both of those 2 trips during the show. But I thought we could start out by talking about the fact that both of you were in the Holy Land before more than once. I know that Father Navit has been to the Holy Land more than a couple times. And I have friends that were there and have told me how wonderful it is to visit there. So why don't we start out with you, Father Navit? What was it like for you the very first time you went to the Holy Land? And just tell us as much as you can about what are the benefits to visiting there.
Sure. I don't use this description lightly when I say that the Holy Land is a life-changing trip. And I know that from my personal experience because I found it life-changing. Full disclosure, I really never had a desire or draw to go to the Holy Land. I've had the opportunity to travel many places. Italy's one of my favorites, is my favorite, but so I would always seem to be leading groups there. But in my work at the time for the Archdiocese of Philadelphia, I was asked to coordinate an archdiocesan pilgrimage to the Holy Land. Never having been there, I thought it best to go and see for myself. So I went with 3 other priests in cooperation and as coordinated by Adina and the team at Select. And we had, it was just a life-changing experience. You know, we grow up hearing about these places. Every time we go to Mass, we hear where Jesus is, or we can picture maybe in our minds what it might be like. and where all the events of our faith happened. We picture them, we hear about them, but to actually then be there, to actually, stand and be at the place where Jesus multiplied the loaves, or where he performed a healing in the synagogue, where he taught in Capernaum, to be at that site, and then to then go to the place where he was born, the place where he was conceived, the house of Mary in Nazareth, where he was born in Bethlehem, and then to walk the walk of Calvary, the Via Dolorosa, and to end at the site of his crucifixion, his death, his burial, and the site of his resurrection. To be in these places, I've never listened to, read, or prayed with the scriptures the same way, having been there. So that experience, that first trip for me, was life-changing, just in my whole approach to the scriptures. My faith really, in a way it never had before, became so much more real, because I could now understand some of Jesus' words, why he described something, or when he spoke about something in a certain place, all of a sudden it clicks, here's what Jesus meant. So really, that was an incredible experience, that first trip. I've been fortunate to return since, and each time has been a blessing in different ways. They say that you go the first time to the Holy Land as a tourist, because we are, although we go on a pilgrimage and it's overwhelming. We just see so much, and we want to remember it, so we're taking pictures. Maybe we're writing everything down. We're trying to capture it in some way, because again, these are life-changing. But what I've found then, when I've been able to return, I'm not as worried about a picture, I already have it, or a souvenir, I already got one the first time, that I could enter a little bit more. So it's really, I've been very blessed to be able to travel more than once to the Holy Land. That's a blessing in itself, but to have that experience of being able to just allow the Holy Land to truly speak to me in my heart. So.
Wow, thank you so much for sharing, and it makes me personally excited that I'm going to be going in March of 2022. And I do want to invite people who are watching right now and you're thinking about it. These are two opportunities that you have to go to the Holy Land. Now, let me explain. So Father Navit is doing his own pilgrimage, which will be through Select International Tours. All you need to do is go to selectinternationaltours.com, and you can find it right there on the website. Now, Father, did you have any contact information that you want to share with our audience here?
Sure. The Select website is really the best way, because it puts everything there. Our contact in the office right now, we have two, Susan and Rebecca. So if you're more comfortable, some people watching might be internet people, and you can go online, you can see the brochure, you can actually register online or send questions. But there is also a phone number there for Select. And again, for our particular group, Susan or Rebecca are our two contacts, and can answer any questions, and can also put people in contact with me if you have something more specific to ask.
Yes, thank you. And I'm going to give them that 800 number. It's 800-842-4842. And so definitely, check it out online or call if you need to. That's going to be a wonderful trip. And I'm excited for you, because this will be, I don't know, was it your third or fourth time there?
It might be my fifth or sixth.
Is it? Okay.
I've had the opportunity, and I've always gone bringing groups of people. It's a special joy. Father Matt and I were together on a group in the Holy Land, one of the archdiocesan pilgrimages, which was a real blessing to travel. We were on the same bus, part of the same group. I enjoy traveling with the group, and it's, for me personally, it's a real blessing to be able now to travel with people, especially going for their first time, and to share their experience. So, that's incredible. My trip in September, I think like yours, is a rescheduled trip because of COVID. But thanks be to God, the travel is starting to reopen, and the Holy Land is one of the places that is first to reopen because of their very vibrant plan for safety and vaccinations and the health and well-being of both the people who live in the Holy Land and those who travel there. So I'm very excited. This will be, we were supposed to go in April of 2020, and now we're find ourselves almost a year and a half later, September of 2021, taking this trip. So it's going to be an exciting opportunity to get back to travel, and especially to go in Thanksgiving to the Holy Land, to give thanks to the Lord for bringing us there and bringing us through this pandemic.
Absolutely. And the audience that watches this show, we get people from the greater Philadelphia area, but also beyond, because we're on Facebook, on Fiat Ministry Network, and we're also on podcasts too, on Podbean and Apple Podcasts. So there could be a lot of people listening that are from outside of this area here, where I am and where you are, Father. So have you ever had people that attend that are from outside of our own Philadelphia area?
I have, yeah. It's been, that's a great part of it, to meet people locally. A lot of people I've traveled with from our Philadelphia area I've never met before, but through word of mouth, different advertising, through churches and outreach. But to have that experience of meeting people really around the world and making these relationships through travel. So I'm thinking of a family that joined me again in 2019 for a pilgrimage from California. They were looking for a pilgrimage, and they had a place in mind, and really through their investigation found Select International and the tours and pilgrimages, and really our dates and itinerary just matched up, and we are still in contact. And I'm hoping that their hope too is that we travel together again. So Select does a great job of arranging transportation from wherever you are. Some people find it easier and more desirable to travel from their home location and leave with the group together. That's wherever we are leaving from, usually many times from Newark Airport, for example, so to meet there and travel together. Or Select can arrange direct flights, or the best flight for the person from wherever you are, and we meet at the destination. So at the airport, which we've had that happen more than once, where we're meeting people at the airport, and our group forms and we begin. And I think I found there's a great camaraderie among the pilgrims that develops. Again, ideally for those who are local, we always try to get together a little bit in some way before and share information and just get to know each other. But if that opportunity is not there before, once you're all together on the bus and sharing meals and travel and a lot of laughs and enjoyment and of course prayer, the group comes together in a beautiful way. So I hope that's the same with your group. I'm sure it will be.
Yeah, thank you. You described it so well, because my experience so far in dealing with Select International has been nothing short of really perfection. I have to say their team is wonderful. We're dealing with Adita and Rebecca and Kathleen and Matt. And I know there's more people too, but they're just great people, and they're real professionals and always great about getting right back to you too. So for those who are watching, and if you're even thinking about doing something like this, I can say that this is the right place to do it, is with Select International. And you got two good opportunities right here to do it. So
they always, I think their motto for their company is that they have passion for the pilgrimage and compassion for the pilgrim. So, and I think they do live up to that motto really well. I've always said in Adita, I've worked with Adita on travel even before I knew Adita. A friend of mine who was a travel agent and would run pilgrimages soon after I was ordained invited me to be a chaplain on a pilgrimage. And again, I didn't know Select nor Adidas at the time, but that's who was my friend Roseanne Maroney was using. And through the years, we traveled a number of times. And then when the opportunity presented itself again, when I was asked to run pilgrimages for the Archdiocese, I went into it with a blank slate, and we interviewed a number of companies. And in every way, Adidas' proposals and presentation, could not be exceeded. So I went with her with the support of the Archdiocese at the time, and have continued to travel with her since. I really don't think because the thing I always like about Adidas, she's very honest, and she'll say, there is no such thing as a perfect pilgrimage. There's always going to be someone's luggage lost, someone might get sick or hurt, God forbid, but things happen. A hotel messes up rooms, or a meal isn't right. There's always going to be issues, but what I've always found, and what Adidas always promised is, she said, we won't promise you a perfect pilgrimage, but we will promise you we will take care of anything you encounter. And I've always found that to be the case.
Well, that's good to hear, because we live in a world of imperfection, right? So, I mean, things are going to happen once in a while. And we do pray that they don't happen, but they're bound to happen. Something is bound to happen. So it's good that you brought that up. And thank you so much. So I thought maybe we could turn it over for a little while before our break. We do have to take a break in about 10 minutes or so to Father Matthew, because he was on that trip the last time with Father Navit. What was that like for you to being on that trip with him and all the others?
Well, just as Father Navit speaking, just a lot of memories are kind of flooding back. And I have to say, I was very blessed, because I was really able to go as a pilgrim. I mean, this time my role will be a little bit different. I'll be the spiritual director of the pilgrimage. Last time, Father Navit was in that role, so I was really able to kind of sit there, soak, and kind of observe, and also watch what he did. But first of all, the pilgrimage that we went on was in 2017, February 2017, late January, early February. And I guess the one unique memory, and again, because every pilgrimage will have its unique memories, but that was the year that the Eagles were in the Super Bowl. So here I am with the Archdiocese, 2 buses, 8, of people from the Archdiocese of Philadelphia, and we're awaiting the Super Bowl. And so there was concern, were we going to be able to watch the Super Bowl from Tiberias in Galilee, on the Sea of Galilee, while, we were able to, in our individual rooms, get the Super Bowl. It was on, international television, so we were able to watch it. And it just, with the time difference, the Super Bowl was kind of starting about 1:32 a.m. where we were. And just kind of one funny memory, and I'm sure Father Navit will remember about the buzz of this, but here I am. I had my own private room, and we're watching the first half, and it was maybe about 3 minutes before halftime. And so there was an exciting play or something that happened that fell short, and I'm in my room, and I kind of burst out, "Oh no!" and I get this pounding on the wall. Somebody, can you be quiet in there? And I felt, I'm sorry. And then so I tried to keep myself calm the rest of the game, and so of course we didn't get much sleep that night, because the Super Bowl ended about what would have been 5 o'clock, 5:30 local time. And that morning we were getting up early for breakfast to begin the day's activities. So at breakfast, again, I'm sitting at the table, and a lady at the table who I hadn't met at that time said, "Oh, I kind of feel bad. I shouted at the person next to me to quiet down." And I started laughing, and I said, "Oh, that was me." And we just all had a great laugh. And she goes, "To be honest," she goes, "I never heard a man apologize before." So it was that laughter and that joy. It kind of set the tone. I mean, that was, I think, the second day of the pilgrimage that had happened. But of course, the Eagles won the Super Bowl. Everybody was in a good mood. Maybe on the third day. I remember that morning we were going to the monastery at Mount Carmel in Haifa. And, that was the one day that I was preaching the Mass. So here, a kid that grew up in Wisconsin as a Green Bay Packer fan gets to do the homily for all the Philadelphia Eagle fans in the Holy Land on Mount Carmel the day after the morning that the Eagles of just a few hours ago won the Super Bowl. So that was quite a memory of that trip. And the whole thing was certainly, I mean, it was a marvelous, the whole thing was a marvelous experience, but that was probably the one unique thing about that 2017 pilgrimage. And, you know, that it's a once in a lifetime for many pilgrimage in the Holy Land, and for many, maybe a once in a lifetime thing that the Eagles won the Lombardi Trophy.
Yeah, good points. Good points. And it just shows that you're a real Eagles fan, because if you weren't even born and raised in the area and you were that excited, so.
Yeah, but you know, and it was really, I mean, when we went down to Bethlehem, the even like, you know, the local, the entertainment that they give us at the restaurant and everything, they had Eagles flags, and everybody was, even the people, you know, all of the locals in the Holy Land and the Palestinian Christians there, they were all happy for us that we were all in a good mood because of the Eagles. And so.
Yeah, absolutely.
And we like to think, though, that it was our prayers in the Holy Land that actually brought the Eagles their victories. So
sure, it helped.
so everybody in Philly partied for a different reason, but we were actually having that holy celebration in the Holy Land, and it was, you know, the whole experience of Middle Eastern hospitality also is something that's just a very beautiful experience. And that's one of the wonderful things when, you know, I became a pastor up here in Leroy, New York, and, you know, we started talking about doing a pilgrimage, and I thought, you know, you get a lot of mailers of people that do pilgrimages, and I said, well, I can't imagine going on a pilgrimage that's not Select International. So I contacted them, and now, you know, interestingly enough, this is you know, because of COVID, we had to change it, you know, twice. And now, you know, Anne, you were looking at planning a pilgrimage. So we kind of just said, well, okay, well, why don't we just take and merge it together here, you know, so we could try to get some more. So that's what, you know, so this is kind of ending up now a kind of a merged pilgrimage just because of the delays that have happened and everything. But it's, you know, we have our plans. God has a different plan. And so in God's plan, this is going to be the time and the moment that he wants us there. And so that's something we don't understand maybe, you know, yet, but when we're there and we have that experience, and we have our experience of prayer and the beauty and the inspiration and the spirit of all of these holy places, you know, in hindsight, it will make sense why the Lord has chosen that time for us to go.
Well said. Thank you. Thank you to both of you for sharing. Mm-hmm. And I do want to mention to our audience who don't know this, that Father Matthew was actually in the Philadelphia area for a long time as a priest, 18 years plus, or however long that was, at Our Lady of Lourdes Parish in West Philadelphia. And so that's why he's so well acquainted with people like myself and Father Navit, who are from, you know, the Philadelphia area. But, you know, you still kept being that Eagles fan and connected with your Philadelphia friends. So that's.
Well, and now I'm in Buffalo Bills territory, but that's a whole nother story. And we're hoping maybe some prayer in the Holy Land can bring the Bills a future a victory now that I'm here.
We'll see how powerful your prayers are. Maybe that will.
That's right. Yeah.
That's right. Now, we do have to take a short break, but maybe during that commercial break, I invite you to go to selectinternationaltours.com and just check out what we've been talking to you about the pilgrimages, and also just about Select in general and learning about them. So we'll be back here in just a few minutes. So see you soon. Hi, my name is Anne DeSantis, and I'm the director for the St. Raymond Nonatus Foundation for Freedom, Family, and Faith. You can learn about us on our website at nonatus.org. I'm here to tell you today about two great podcasts that I hope that you will tune in. The first Tuesday of every month at 8 o'clock, we have a podcast specifically for Catholics affected by divorce. From 8 to 9 p.m. Eastern, go to Philly Nonatus on YouTube to subscribe. In addition, we also have a podcast the last Thursday of every month. That's also at 8 o'clock Eastern Time for 1 hour, and that one is for families in crisis. We have some really great guests coming up soon, so hope to see you then. Please also consider the fact that you can make spiritual direction appointments with us with our spiritual moderator. All you need to do is go to our website on the contact form and just reach out to us. We'd be happy to hear from you and look forward to setting up an appointment. So we'd love to connect with you. Please share this video and let people know that we're there for families affected by divorce and also families in crisis. Thank you.
Patchwork Heart Ministry and Fiat Ministry Network present the Discover Your Mission series.
When I was young, in the 1950s, I attended Catholic grammar school and I memorized the Baltimore Catechism. In fact, I think I got an A on all of my tests. I faithfully attended Mass each week, not because I wanted to, but because I was afraid if I didn't, I would suffer eternal damnation. I followed all the rules. I followed my Catholic faith faithfully. But it wasn't until I became a wife and a mother and I began to try and pass my faith on to my children that I realized that everything I knew about Jesus was memorized doctrine.
I can't even share with you how I was so rooted in my faith. And I was attending Mass, but I was not present. I was a good man, I was a good father, I was instilling the sacraments into my family. I was definitely not intentional. I was stuck rooted in my faith.
But what kind of strength did he have? Jackie did not just have a strength of body or baseball skill. He had a strength inside of his spirit, a courageous meekness that empowered him to play the game.
And I tell him what is going on with me, and he's like, oh, okay. And I'm like, no, I think this is like some sort of miracle, dude. And he's like, oh, of course, but I'll believe it when I see it. Honey, you've been trying to quit, and you've been saying this and saying that. And I'm his big line to me is, you shouldn't say things because I never follow through on them. And so this was week after week, month after month. He is looking at me like, this is a miracle. There is no way that you, on your own, could have done this.
In 1 Corinthians chapter 10, verses 16 through 21, St. Paul compares the sacrifice of the Christians to the sacrifice of Israel and then to the sacrifice of the pagans. Paul calls the chalice the blood of Christ, and the bread as participation in the body of Christ, and then warns his listeners that you cannot partake of the table of the Lord and the table of demons at the same time. So in other words, you need to decide, what are you going to participate in? Are you going to participate in the historic Christian idea of the altar of sacrifice, which is in the Eucharist, or not?
Hi, welcome back to Journeys in Faith here on this Friday evening. I'm Anne DeSantis, and I'm with Father Zachary Navit of the Archdiocese of Philadelphia and Father Matthew Phelan, Mercedary and Friar. He's the pastor at Our Lady of Mercy in St. Bridget's in Leroy, New York. And during the first half of the show, we were talking about Holy Land pilgrimages with Select International Tours. And both of them gave some words of wisdom about what it's like to travel to the Holy Land, and especially traveling there with Select International. And as I said during the first half as well, that I will be hosting a pilgrimage with Father Matthew, and this pilgrimage will be March 14th to the 24th in 2002. So, excuse me, 2022. And the information will be at selectinternationaltours.com. Father Navit will be hosting one this year on September 19th for 10 days. So again, go to Select International Tours and you can learn about that, or just watch the first half of the show.
Yes.
So yeah. So welcome back to both of you. Father Navit, I wondered if you could expand a little bit about what it was like to visit the different points in the pilgrimage, because I know that there were some very special places.
Yeah, it's hard to even pick a favorite, but I do want to highlight two that I found just to be extraordinary. Over so many of the sites where something occurred in the life of Jesus and in the life of the early church, of course, a monument, a marker has been built, and many times a church to mark that place. And so many of the places we visit are churches built over the site of a holy place, something that happened. And the most powerful of those for me is the Church of the Holy Sepulchre. Now they always kid Americans, especially because that's what we call this, the Church of the Holy Sepulchre. The natives, the Christians of the Holy Land, they refer to this as the Church of the Resurrection, because of course there is no greater event in the life of Jesus and the life of faith and his resurrection. I mean, that's what gives, of course, everything meaning. So to be at that place where, and typically a visit, the ultimate visit starts with walking, waking up very early in the morning, walking the way of the cross, the Via Dolorosa, to the group together pray the stations of the cross, carrying a large cross, and to see people taking turns, sharing the cross, carrying it with one another. What a beautiful image of really what the life of a Christian is about, to walk the way of the cross with Jesus, with one another, and to help one another carry the cross. The last stations, of course, take place inside the Church of the Holy Sepulchre, where Jesus was stripped of his garments, crucified, died, and prepared, taken down from the cross. So there, Mount Calvary, to walk up and pray at Mount Calvary, and then the place where Jesus' body was prepared, and then the tomb, to go into that tomb where Jesus was not only buried but rose. Incredible experience. When I was there in 2019, I had the opportunity in the tomb, which is it's like a church inside a church. The tomb itself is encapsulated in a small church built around it, and you literally have to crawl down to get into the slab where Jesus' body was placed. Well, once a day in the morning, they turn that slab into an altar, and Mass is celebrated there. And everyone has to gather around outside, and you can listen and hear. But the priest goes inside to pray and use that altar. And I had the opportunity to do that in 2019. I mean, to be in there, and at times I was there by myself in the actual place where Jesus rose from the dead. I mean, even now, I can't believe that happened. So
I just, we of course we had a concelebrated Mass in there with, I think there was 4 or 5 of us gathered around Bishop Fitzgerald when I was there, and so it's pretty but to be and then to celebrate, be the lone celebrant in there, but the whole, just to be the whole mystery of after the consecration, when it's time to show the host, you would go out, and to be, so it's almost as like really a symbol of Jesus in his real presence, now rising from the tomb and then appearing to disciples. That whole image of that was something that struck me in that moment that we were there.
Thank you both for sharing. So if for people who are watching and that might be thinking about, I'd like to do this, is there anything that they can do to prayerfully prepare for this? I mean, I know there's going to be a lot of just regular things that they do to prepare, getting their clothing ready and getting everything prepared for the actual trip. But is there anything they can do in a prayerful way to prepare for it? Father Navit, we'll start with you.
I think always it's great to prepare, and we have so many resources right now. through the internet. I would certainly recommend take the itinerary. I know you have an itinerary for your trip, and people who inquire will be sent or can access the itinerary online. Just to Google each place where you're going to find out, and you can find the references. And I mean, I know this because I've done it. You can literally find the references for each church, each town, each site that will be visited. Google, through Wikipedia or other sources, will give you the scripture verses to go and pick up the Bible and read what happened at that place. And it's amazing because some places are recorded, say in all 4 of the Gospels might record an event. Others only occur in certain Gospels. So I found it gave me a greater appreciation for the scriptures. I always recommend that when everyone's packing to come to the Holy Land, that you pack some version of the scriptures, whether it's the Bible as a book that you pick up and use, or you have it downloaded on your device. I think it's essential for anyone traveling the Holy Land to pick up the Bible. And I found this with many people, if they're not used to reading the Bible or using the scriptures, this is like the entree into it. So I really think, now there are travel guides too you can go out and buy or pick up, but like I said, so much is available online to get you started. But I think the Bible is the best place to start.
Yeah, that's great advice. Now, I wonder with Father Matthew, I have to mention something about Father Matthew. It's very interesting and a connection to the Holy Land itself, right? Is that Father Matthew's mother, who's deceased, was Jewish. Now, she was a convert to Catholicism, but I wondered if you had anything to say there, and also any words of advice, as I said, on the spiritual level.
Well, I don't know if I have anything to say in that regard. I guess certainly, blood-wise, there's a certain draw to the Holy Land that's in my spirit, and that I guess I couldn't even describe. When you're asking about ways to prepare for, certainly, everything that Father Navit said, absolutely. And I'd say just at the real basic level, just make sure you get to confession a few days before you go or whatever, so you're not worrying about anything, so you can really be able to travel in freedom and not being worried about something you did last week or something like that. So that goes anytime you travel, but I think especially the Holy Land, to be able to go, and know that, that you're beginning in a great state of grace and our Lord's going with you. That's always, of course, a recommendation as a Catholic. We always want to do that. So.
Yeah, thank you.
But, and it was, it's interesting because it is one of the interesting things, with my ethnic background. I have a biological brother who's an Orthodox Jew, and it was interesting because he went to the Holy Land. But it's interesting as somebody practicing the Jewish faith, his experience of the Holy Land is different than a Christian going to the Holy Land too. And I just remember, it was in going on a pilgrimage, with Select with a Catholic group. There were areas that I was able to go and see that he, as a Jew, wouldn't even imagine going to see. So like going to, I remember when kind of messaging with him when I was over there, and I was telling him why would you be in the West Bank? Because I'm a Christian, that's why. That's not a problem. But again, that's not something he would have done when he was there, and so again, it's a place of pilgrimage for many people, even different religions. But the Christian pilgrimage is it's an experience for Christians, and a Jew going there for a Jew and seeing the Jewish site. It's very different. And I remember. I remember Shafiq, who was our guide when we were there, and good friend of Father Navit, and Father Navit has him on many of his pilgrimages. But was because people would ask him, like, oh, what, are we going to go here? Or they would ask him about some of the Jewish sites, and he goes, well, this is a Christian pilgrimage, so for us as Christians, Masada doesn't have like the same significance that it would for somebody that's of the Jewish faith. So there are distinctions in the pilgrimages, and and again the distinction between a pilgrimage and a vacation or a tour. If we were to go there on a vacation or a historical tour, their sites that they're going to go to are a lot different than if they're there on a pilgrimage and really exploring the roots and the places that are significant to us as Christians and as Catholics.
Yeah, thank you. Well
I
said.
could just jump in with something
Sure.
that Father Matt was saying that I think is important. Two things, actually. It's important to prepare not just spiritually for the pilgrimage, but I think what you were just saying, pilgrimage is hard work. It's not a vacation. So I would encourage people to actually start a little preparation, start walking, get in a routine where you can, where you're used to walking. Again, if they can accommodate and help anyone who wants to go, but for your own personal enjoyment, it's good to prepare physically, to get yourself in that mindset and to realize you're going to have some very full days and not a lot
of walking shoes.
downtime.
Important.
Good walking shoes. The other thing that this was, and one of the points when I first started specifically working with the Select International for the Archdiocese, is Select's commitment to the Christian community in the Holy Land, which the Christian community in the Holy Land is less than 1% of the population is Christian. I think back in maybe the 70s, 60s, it might have been 40%, but just the circumstances over time have made this community so small. And really they are keeping our faith alive there in the place where our faith started. They welcome us when we come as pilgrims, as brothers and sisters, and in the faith. And as Father Matthew again just said, their hospitality is incredible. But they are a community that is challenged each and every day, to survive. And Select International works with the Christian community there. All of the tour guides are Christians. You can go on a pilgrimage, which is a Christian pilgrimage, and have a tour guide who is not Christian, who is certainly telling you facts, but not necessarily sharing faith. As Father Matthew mentioned, my friend Shafiq he's actually a Roman Catholic who grew up in Jerusalem, went to school there, is raising his own family there, and I point him out because so many of the pilgrimages have these encounters with Christians of the Holy Land, and things we Select uses Christian run businesses, restaurants, hotels, as much as possible, tour guides, buses, to support our brothers and sisters in the Holy Land. So that's something to me that was very important, and it's one of the things that I've always appreciated and Select for that commitment as well.
Yeah, thank you for sharing. If people want to find out more about what you just said about this commitment that they have, is that listed somewhere on their website? I'm sure it is.
It is. It is on the website, and they actually have a foundation called Select to Give, which every pilgrimage, part of their proceeds go to fund a non-for-profit organization that helps different projects in the Holy Land. Education is a big one, providing Catholic education for people in the Holy Land, for students, young students, also helping women in business and establish themselves, and funding for businesses led by women in an area where that's not the norm. They provide a lot of good resources and training. A highlight of the pilgrimage is always something, again, unique to them. One of the nights, the dinner is called Sharing the Bread, when the group actually breaks up into small groups and host families, Christians, welcome us into their homes to share a meal which, to them, we would think of it as like a Christmas meal, or it's a huge meal that these people have, prepared to, again, welcome us as their brothers and sisters, and to get to know these people. I still keep in touch with the families that I've visited through the years as part of this program. So you actually, I always talk about them as the living stones of the Holy Land. We see all these buildings and we walk on stone roads and everything is built, but these again are the people keeping the faith alive, our faith alive in the Holy Land. So to spend time with them and to hear about what their life is, and to share with them, our experience, it's an incredible blessing, which again I found to be unique to the tour's select runs.
Yeah.
Thank you for sharing that. I'm sure that people who are watching, they will be interested, because when you make a decision like this, when you decide that you want to go to the Holy Land, you want to choose an organization that does some very good things like you just described about this Select to Give. And this is great. This is wonderful outreach. And it's good to know that your money is going towards something good like this as well. I thought we could talk a little bit about the accommodations and the food as well. I'm sure people are thinking, I wonder what that's like too. So if maybe we'll start with Father Matthew this time.
Okay.
Get any comments there?
I'm going to rewind slightly just because another memory and then something current, that Father Navit in talking about, when we broke bread in the homes, the one family that we stayed with, we had dinner with, at the time, there was a young man in the home who was a film student. And just last year, and I haven't really had communicated with him. I kind of follow him sometimes on Facebook, so he doesn't even know I'm going to say that, but he just released his first film short last year called Bethlehem 2001. And it's a film that really, it kind of captures from his perspective as a child growing up in Bethlehem, what was one of the most traumatic moments historically for the Christians in Bethlehem. And he catches that in an artistic way. I mean, people, if you Google Bethlehem 2001 as Ibrahim Handel, you'll find his film. But it's kind of a way also for us to see things from a different perspective. We don't always get the full perspective or every side of a story, and so being able to see maybe how somebody else viewed a portion of history that maybe we've kind of seen on the surface, but really couldn't be a part of it. It enters us then, into a different level of compassion and understanding. So I just kind of wanted to mention that. The accommodation, I mean, we're just absolutely fabulous. So which is great because, as Father Navit said, when you're moving around all day, and there's a physical part of the pilgrimage, but you're never going to have a night where you rest uncomfortably or don't have the sustenance that you need, I love the Mediterranean diet, so that for me it was the food was a great highlight. And you've known me for some time too, so you probably saw me eating a little differently when I came back from the Holy Land with a greater appreciation for Mediterranean food, which I would then seek out whenever I could here in the States. But I'm kind of food oriented, so that's kind of where my mind usually goes when I speak of it. But the accommodations were tremendous, and that was certainly also a great highlight of the trip.
Yeah, good to know. What about you, Father Navit? Anything to say about that?
Yeah, I always tell our groups when we're preparing, remember that we're going to visit as visitors to another country.
Mm-hmm.
If we wanted or expected everything to be like it is here in America, we would stay here. So don't expect everything to be the same. Go with the openness to try the local cuisine, to experience life as it is in another place. And again, I think the trips do a great job. The accommodations always top rate. And again, anytime we've ever had an issue, and again, someone's room wasn't ready or something, they've always addressed it. So the accommodation's great variety of food. I would not let any fear of a different cuisine deter anyone. There are many things that you'll encounter that are very familiar to us here at home, so I don't think anyone would go hungry. I do also just want to say a word, because a lot of times people will raise as a concern, is it safe? Is it safe to travel to the Holy Land? And we know this is a part of the world where there is unrest. There is always, from the time of the scriptures, been unrest. But that being said, again, I've been to the Holy Land 5 or 6 times. I have never encountered or been placed in a situation, and some of the times have been while there was, if you would have turned on the news back here in the United States while we were there, you might have seen something that was highlighted or, as unrest, but we never encountered it. The guides and the directors on the ground are in communication to make sure that everyone is always safe. And many times when they're asked there, about safety, they can very well quote back to us or give the statistics about crime and dangerous situations in the United States, and then compare them to their statistics there, which leave us a little bit embarrassed. We don't want anywhere to be unpeaceful or have unrest, but just know in going that it is safe to travel to the Holy Land, and the commitment of everyone is to keep everyone safe, and that is of the utmost importance, whether it's with the COVID protocols for health and anything else health-wise, or for physical actual safety. Everyone is working together to keep everyone safe. So I really would not have any worries about traveling to the Holy Land.
Father Navit, one thing I was really impressed on our 2017 pilgrimage was how the timing of it all, and how our guides just seem to have everything timed so well, where we really, other people that I've known that have gone with other groups, and I don't know if this is your consistent experience or not, but it just seemed like I was prepared for a lot more wait time, and we almost had none at all, in comparison to other people that I know have gone. And I don't know if that's been your continued experience with Select and the people that they have taking us.
Yes, that has been my, across the board, my constant experience, that everything is well planned. And again, I've traveled with groups of, a group of 4. I traveled with groups of, over 100, and they have worked it in a way that seamlessly, we're all having a great experience. We can be in and out of sites, in the best way possible, so that we see everything. But we're making the best use of our time. And, as in any itinerary, there's always adjustments that happen along the way, because again, they're communicating there, the people who live there, to give us the best experience. So I think that, you have the benefit of a group pilgrimage like this with Select, is that you come home seeing everything you wanted to see without having to do so much of the planning and work to make it happen, because they've done the work for us.
Amen. It makes me very enthusiastic about this whole thing. And just want to invite this audience who are here on Fiat Ministry Network and on the podcast that are listening to check out and go to selectinternationaltours.com and get more information. And those dates are for these pilgrimages are for Father Navit's pilgrimage is September 19th for 10 days. And the one through myself and Father Matthew Phelan will be on March 14th to the 24th in 2022. So I want to thank you both again for joining us.
Well, I cannot wait. I hope we talk again after we've all traveled, and but I'm very curious to hear your experiences in leading a group, and this will be your first time, right?
It will be.
So I'm very, I can't wait to hear how you come back and what you have experienced.
Well, we'll have to have a
good mentor to watch at least for leading as a spiritual director. So
That's right. That's right. Thank you both. And I also would like to make an invitation for people who are watching. As many people know, I'm the director for a foundation called the St. Raymond Donatus Foundation for Freedom, Family, and Faith. It is a Mercedarian started nonprofit. We were founded in 2015 by 2 Mercedarian friars and through the order. And what we do is make outreach to families in crisis and also Catholics affected by divorce and separation. So if you're watching this right now, that invitation is also for you. If you are a friend of this nonprofit, please do join us. You'll be getting an invitation from me to join us on this pilgrimage. Thank you so much. And we'll see all of you next week here on Journeys in Faith.
Journeys of Faith is a production of Fiat Ministry Network and Patchwork Heart Ministry. For more information about Journeys of Faith, email info@fiatministrynetwork.tv. And be sure to friend, follow, and like us on social media. Just search Journeys in Faith with Anne DeSantis.